Flosstube friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Chris. Today is Friday, January 31st, 2025, and I am here to share my stitching with you for the month of January. It's been a pretty good month for me stitching wise. I have gotten quite a bit done, so I feel really good about that. So let's jump in and I'll share some of the stuff I've been up to with you. I think I'm going to start with what for now I'm calling a focus project. So it's this pattern here. I'll put a picture in. I'm just calling this Weimaraner. I don't think it has an official name. It comes from an Etsy shop called Pattern Maker Designs, and I will link that down below. They do have a lot of similar type patterns of different dog breeds, if that's something that you're interested in. I do believe there are some other images as well. I started this project on December 18th last year. I'm stitching it on a 32 count Harmony by Hand Dyed by Rolanda, and I'm stitching it with the called for DMC. And so far I'm really enjoying stitching this pattern. It's really fun watching the image sort of appear before your eyes as you stitch this. I will put a picture in of where it was the last time you would have seen it. And here is where it is now. So yeah, so I got a fair bit done. Pardon the park threads there. I had a fair bit done. I'm kind of working down in columns. That's sort of the way I prefer stitching these days, at least for now, till I change and do something different. But yeah, I was able to come all the way down and kind of get to his neck and shoulder there. And I'm getting really close to his other eye. I know he looks kind of funny with just one eye there, but yeah, so he's coming along really good. And as I say, it's a really nice stitch. I really enjoy stitching on this pattern, so you should go check out the Etsy shop. So that is Weimaraner. So then let's talk next about weekly whips. So if you're new here, I work on one whip a week, and I'm working my way through my whip list, which started the year at 40 whips, and I really want to get that down. So yeah, I'm working my way through the list, one whip at a time, one whip a week, and once I get to the bottom of the list, I'll go back to the top and do that again. So, and my list is chronological, so it's oldest to newest. So my oldest whip is, I'll put a photo up here. It's called Walk with Dog. It's based on the artwork of Leonid Afremov, and it's charted by Artisy. I did start this originally in July of 2019, but in October of 2023, I restarted it on a 25 count. I had been doing it on 18 count, 2/1, and it was getting a little bit crowded, so there's so many color changes. So I'm doing it now on a 25 count Lugana 1/1 with all of the called for DMC. So I'll put a picture in of where it would have been the last time that you saw it. And here is where it is now. Look at those colors, is that not cool? So what I did, I was working on this side originally, and again, I'm changing the way I'm stitching because I always seem to do that, and I just changed to what works for me. So what I did on this side is I worked in, you can see I have park threads here, but there were a bunch here as well, so actually they're up here. So I worked all of those park threads in, and then I filled in, it's kind of like a 20 stitch high row. So then I filled in all of those colors, and then I came back to this side, and I filled in all of those park threads that were in this section of the hoop. And then I started filling in, like starting from this edge, I just take a color and then stitch it all the way across, or down here a little bit, and then I take another color. So I'm starting to work my way across here too. So eventually I'll get to that middle section, I'll work in those park threads, and then I won't have any more park threads. So far I'm liking this. It's working well for me. And it's just so fun seeing those colors. Like this burst of orange over here is just really cool looking. So I will say, so yeah, I picked this up the first week of January, and my plan had been to work on it for that week. But after a couple of days, I found myself avoiding stitching because I don't know what it is about this project. I have like a love-hate relationship with it. I love the artwork. I love how it looks when it's stitched. It has a sentimental connection to me because I started it in memory of our last dog, Marley, that we had before we got our Ollie. She had passed away at just 5 years of age, and we had a special bond with her, and she and I did a lot of walking, so I just thought it was a nice tribute to her. So I do want to stitch this, and I do want to complete it, but I will admit that first week in January, I was like, you know, do I just UFO this? Do I just like stop? But I can't do that. I love the artwork and I love the sentimentality of it, and I do want to finish it. So I thought about it, and I'm thinking part of the issue was it's challenging to stitch for me, to do the 1/1 on the dark fabric. I don't resent the dark fabric because that way you're not getting white showing through the stitches, but it does sometimes make it a little bit more, you know, challenging to stitch on, and it's not what I would consider a relaxed stitch like some of my other projects, like the Weimaraner is a relaxed stitch. So I don't think working on it for a stretch of 5 to 7 days is doable for me, because again, I avoid stitching then because I don't want to pick it up. I want to stitch on something else. So what I've decided to do is go back to trying to work on it on a semi-regular basis. I'm not committing to every week. I'm not committing to a certain day every week. But just once a week, I'm going to try and pick it up and try and put in a minimum of 400 stitches each time, so that at least I can make a little bit of progress. So that's what I'm going to do for now anyway, and see how that goes. And in fact, after that first week in January, that's what I did. Like, again, I only worked on it, I think, for 2 days that first week, but then the next week I just picked it up one day and said, I'm just going to do 400 stitches. And so I've done that each week since then. So I'm going to keep trying to do that and just make little bits of progress over time, and hopefully it will get there someday. So that and Weimaraner are now going to kind of be focus pieces, because Weimaraner too, I try to work on him one day a week. It's often Sunday because that's when I often have the most time to stitch, but sometimes it's just if I just feel like working on him. Like I kind of feel like working on him, so I might work on him today. But yeah, so Walk with Dog is now going to move out of a weekly whip, and it's going to go back to kind of being a focus project, but with no pressure. So we'll see how that goes. But I am excited seeing the picture come together, and it's going to be fun moving farther down in the image, because the colors are going to change a little bit from where they've been. So my next weekly whip that I worked on was the DMC color card. This is from an Etsy shop called Men on Wool. I will put a picture in of where it was the last time that you saw it. And I started this back in November of 2020, and I actually finished it. I finished it on the 8th of January. It's stitched on an 18 count Aida with all of the called for DMC, and not only have I finished it, but I have fully finished it. So I always had in my head that I wanted to kind of turn it into a DMC color card, kind of like the one that you can purchase, so that I can use it as a reference if I need to change colors and stuff. So that's what I did. So this is it here. So I had this sort of canvasy fabric in my stash, so that's on the back. And then if you open it up, here are the colors. So yeah, there they are. So yeah, so that turned out really well. It wasn't actually a difficult finish to do. I kind of just, I trimmed down the stitching, so I had about a 1/2 inch margin, and then I gave myself a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then I trimmed the backing fabric the same, and I just sewed around 3 sides, and then I cut the cardboard to go in there, and I have some, I think they're called comic boards. It's kind of like a light matte board or a heavy cardboard, and it's acid free type of thing. So I just cut those down to size and slid them in, and then top stitched all around the edge, and then I did the stitching in between, which I had measured all that out. So, and then just sort of folds flat, so I can just tuck it on my shelf, and when I need to do a color conversion, I can pull it out and look at all the colors. So yeah, I was pretty happy with how that turned out. It's kind of nice when an idea in your head actually works out works out in real life, because sometimes I have ideas in my head and then they don't work out. So yeah, so that was the DMC color card, and that was my first finish of 2025. So that was exciting, very exciting. And so now this card, so this is my card. These are my cards, so I keep track of my projects. So I've marked off the finish date, and so this is my other. I keep all my project cards in an identical little acrylic case, and this one now is going to be for the projects that I finished. So now I'll put this one in there. All right, my next weekly whip was Santa's truck stocking, which will look like this when it is finished. This is a stocking that I'm stitching for my husband. I will put a picture in of where it was the last time that you would have seen it. This is being stitched on 14 count ivory Aida, which came in the kit with all of the kit threads. And I started this in May of 2021. So here is where it is now. So yeah, so I got quite a bit done. I believe I was just sort of to the level of the windshield the last time that I was working on it. So I got all the hood of the truck done and down to the grill, and around there's that big wreath. I think it's funny how what's in the center of the wreath kind of looks like a fireworks or something. And I did a little bit more down in here because this wasn't completed down here. This was all done, but I did this stuff down here and the headlight and everything. So yeah, so I made some great progress on that. That felt good. There's still all the back stitching to do because it'll really be cool once the back stitching's in, but yeah, so that was great. I was really happy with that progress. So then the next weekly whip that I worked on was Hunter and Foxhound, which is my Luca S kit. It will look like this when it is finished. This, I'll put in a picture of where it would have been the last time you saw it. I started this in May of 2021. It's on a 16 count Aida that came in the kit, which is really cool. The Luca S kits, most of them anyway, as far as I know, have gridded fabric, so that's a nice bonus. And I'm doing it with all of the kit threads. And here is where it is now. So again, I'm working down in columns and I'm trying to work in part threads. So down here, this is the beginning of the foxhound that's down in the corner that's kind of sniffing noses with the horse. So that was fun to get down and put some of the reds in his coat. So yeah, so that's coming along good. Really enjoying that. This is nice fabric to work on, and the threads are quite nice. They're anchor threads. I am worried I'm gonna run out of some of the threads, but I guess we'll see. I did go on their website just to check, and in their frequently asked questions section, there is that question, you know, I've run out of threads, and they just say to contact them and let them know the symbol number or whatever. So hopefully if I run out, I can just do that and get some more thread if I need it. And so then the last weekly WIP that I worked on was Celebrate Christmas by Madame Chantilly. I will put a picture in of where it was the last time you would have seen it. This is being stitched on a 32 count platinum linen with all the called for DMC. I started this in May of 2021 and I just finished it yesterday. Finished number 2. So here is what it looks like now. So I did not do the word Christmas at the bottom. And that, obviously, I planned that because there's not enough fabric to stitch that Christmas at the bottom. So when I started this way back in 2021, I think I already decided I wasn't going to put Christmas at the bottom. So one thing that I did change is in this sign here. If you look at the model, there's like this sort of extra frill up here on the T, which I thought it just made it hard to read. I'm assuming it's there to kind of fill in some of the space in that little sign. I think of it as like a little chalkboard, but I don't know. So I took that out, and I like how that looks better. The other interesting thing you maybe noticed, if you look at the model, the tiered tray is the darker gray brown and the sign is the lighter gray brown. But that's not the way it's charted. I like checked, double checked, triple checked, which I didn't realize until I was stitching this sign and was looking at something and went, just a minute, those colors are reversed. And I'm thinking, oh, did I mess up? Did I put the wrong color on the wrong bobbin? And I even went to the website to see if there's a correction, and there's not. And then I know that Megan, Georgia Girl Stitches, she finished this not too long ago. I think I was watching one of her videos before Christmas and she showed her finish. So I went back and looked at her finish, and yeah, she did hers the same way I did. Like, she has the dark. So again, that's the way so whether that's an error or whether the person model stitching switched them up by mistake or on purpose, or if it's an error in the chart. But again, I don't mind it because I think this makes it look a little bit like a chalkboard that you've written on. So one more time. There it is. Madame Chantilly's Christmas tiered tray. Celebrate Christmas. Ta-da. I had at one time thought it would be fun, so when I finish this one, then I can automatically start another tiered tray, but I'm not doing that because I have too many projects right now, and I want to get that number down. So I will not be starting another one right away. In the future, hopefully, but not right away. So that is it for all of my weekly WIPs. That is everything I stitched on in the month of January. So let's go to WIPGO, the WIPGO calls. So I am participating in WIPGO this year. If you're unfamiliar with that, I'll put a link to the video that talks about it. Jessie Marie Does Stuff is the brainchild behind that phenomenon. And I believe it's probably started as, you know, kind of to use as prompts to stitch on, you know, projects that you had in your WIP pile that you wanted to get some work on. And everybody does it a little bit different. But I have decided I am using WIPGO as a way to motivate me to fully finish some of my previously finished projects. So for the month of January, the numbers that were called were 11 and 20. So on my board, number 11 was Count Your Blessings. And so I have fully finished that. And I have decided to frame it. So I got this really nice frame at Michael's. It was like 50% off or something. This was just after Christmas. And it looks like wood, but it's actually plastic, but it's really light. And yeah, at first I wasn't sure. Like I kind of thought, oh, it's a little samey as far as the color palette went. But once I got it laced and in there, I really like how the frame looks with the stitch piece. So yeah, so that's Count Your Blessings, which is I think it's a Country Cottage Needleworks pattern. If not, it's Little House Needleworks. And this is like, I stitched this way back in 2020. I don't think it ever made an appearance on any of my Flosstube because I kind of wasn't filming during a lot of that year, just with COVID and how it impacted everything. So yeah, so that's my first, no, this was actually my second FFO because I finished, or was it? No, it doesn't matter. I was thinking maybe I finished the DMC color chart, but I think I did. I think Count Your Blessings was my first FFO of 2025, and then the DMC chart. So my other WIPGO call, number 20, was the Lizzie Kate seasons. There's so many Lizzie Kate seasons, but I don't know if these ones were called flips. And I have 4 of them, and I'd sort of split them up, fall, winter in one, and spring and summer in another. But as I suspected, I just decided to finish all 4 at the same time, since I kind of knew what I was doing and wanted them all to sort of finish the same. So so here's winter. So I just wanted to add a little bit of fabric, to add a little bit of color. Here is spring. Autumn. And so again, I just sewed this fabric. Now this is the first one I did. So you can see with these ones, I did a top stitch. This was the first one I did, and I didn't do the top stitch, but I'd already attached it all to the mat board, and I didn't want to take it off, and so that I didn't think it mattered. They're not all displayed at the same time, right? They're going to be up from season to season. So that is autumn, and this is summer. And so I had this little wooden plaque thing from the dollar store. It does have a twine, but I don't necessarily like the way it hangs because it tips forward when you hang it by that. But right now I'm just sort of setting it. But so you can see I've put this little piece of a metal there, and I have put magnets in the back. So this is my quick and easy finishing job. So this is just an acid-free double-sided tape, but I haven't taken the backing off it, so I'm just sticking it on. I learned this trick from Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch, although hers look a little neater than mine. But anyway, nothing fancy. It allows me the option, if I do want to finish it differently, I can just peel that tape off and do something different. So these do just fit sort of exactly on here. And yeah, and then I just sit them up like that. I may consider looking for a 6x6 frame, but for now, again, these are just little seasonal pieces that are going to be up for a few months and then put away again. So I was pretty happy just with how they look, just like that. And then I can just set this on set it back there. So yeah, so that is my second WIPGO call for January, and my third FFO for the year. So I'm pretty excited about that. That's pretty awesome. So I'll put the winter one back on and I'll set them up back. Oops, back over there somewhere. It's very awkward to do. So those were my WIPGO calls. So yay for me. I was really happy that I did that. So so far, so good. So good. We'll see how far into the year we can get, but so far so good. So let's go to some happy mail. I got a little bit of stuff in the mail with our postal strike here in Canada. A lot of Christmas stuff was delayed, so one of the things I got in the mail was a Christmas card from Pam and Steph from Just Keep Stitching. Thank you, ladies. Always fun to get their cards in the mail. Got that just last week, I think. And then the other thing I got in the mail was a gift from my friend Nicole, who is a Buckeye Stitcher here on Flosstube and on Instagram. Nicole and I often will exchange gifts at Christmas, and this year we decided, kind of because of the strike, but it didn't really matter because 123 Stitch uses the postal service to mail to Canada. So Nicole got hers within a few days of me ordering it, but mine again didn't come until like the second week of January. But yeah, so what we decided to do this year, instead of purchasing or making gifts and mailing them to each other, is we were gonna buy stuff for each other off of 123 Stitch and then have them ship it directly to the person. That allowed me to get around the mailing option. So yeah, it was kind of fun because we both put some stuff on our wish list, and then we kind of had some prompts or guidelines that we had to use. So one of the guidelines was one pattern. So this is the pattern that Nicole sent me. It's Robin Pickens cardinal. I love that cardinal, so cool. And then again, one of the guidelines was a pattern and at least 3 of the flosses to stitch that pattern. So then she also sent me the DMCs that are used in that pattern, or some of them anyway, not all of them. So that is fun. And then the guidelines also included something red and something green. So she sent me some classic Colorworks threads. Yeah, so there's 2 reds and 2 greens in there. So that's fun. And then another guideline was a notions. So she sent a snag nabbit. Always handy to have. One guideline was just like gifter's choice, like a wild card that you could just pick anything that you wanted. And so Nicole actually sent me this piece of linen, which is Picture This plus vellum. And then the last guideline was something with an animal in it, because we're both veterinarians, we both love animals. And Nicole sent me this. Oh my goodness, I was so excited. I have been looking at this for a while. It's another Luca S kit. I love their kits. And it's horses, so like what's not to love, right? And it's great artwork of horses. Some horse artwork doesn't appeal to me, but this is just so cool. So this is a pretty neat kit. It came in a box. You can see all the flosses there. So it also, so this is sort of telling you that it's full crosses, and then there are some blends, that it's Ada, and it's gridded, and it's 16 count. And these are the threads, and I think these might be Luca S's own threads, but I'm not 100% sure about it. And then there's, what, 72 colors. They're saying it's a 4 to 5 difficulty, and this is how big it's going to be. And it comes with a needle threader and 2 needles. So the other really fun thing that I've recently sort of discovered about Luca S kits is some of their newer kits, because I think they have their threads in them. If you have the kit, you can get a PDF of the pattern. So yeah, I opened this up because I was curious, and sure enough, there's a QR code in there that you just had to scan, and it took you to somewhere on their website that you could get the PDF for free. And so I did that, and I downloaded it, and it goes into Pattern Keeper. Now Pattern Keeper put in all the symbols, but it doesn't know the colors, which isn't really a big deal, because you don't need to know what the color is to stitch it. You just need to know the symbol. The only reason the colors are nice to have is as you complete stitches, it will fill the picture in color. If you've ever used Pattern Keeper, you'll know what I mean. But it does, it does give you the option in Pattern Keeper that you can sort of customize the colors. But this has 72 different colors, and they gave you like a grid of like, I don't know, 12 colors. Then I think you could do different intensities of color, but it would take like a really long time to try to put all those colors in somewhat accurately. And I decided there's no benefit in doing, I'd rather be stitching in that time. But anyway, I was super excited that I can put it in Pattern Keeper. I can search for symbols, I can mark them off, I can follow my progress. The only problem was it came with a black and white chart and then a colored chart, like a lot of designers do. And when that's happened before and you download it to Pattern Keeper, they'll sometimes like come up with a prompt that there's more than one chart or whatever, and you could go through and sort of tell it not to include this particular chart. So if it was the one with colored symbols, just not include that one. It would just include the black and white. But for whatever reason, it didn't do that with this one. And so it saw the 2 charts as 2 pages of the same chart. And so it gave me the option of, because this is 2 by 300, so it gave me the option of 2 by 600 or 300 by 400. So it would either put them side by side or one on top of the other. And so then it, like, again, I still could have stitched it from that, but if you're following your stitch count, like it had double the, like there's 60,000 stitches in that. Well, it was telling me there's 120,000 stitches. So that would have bothered me a little bit, having to stitch it that way. So I played around for a little bit, and I found a way to put it into my PDF reader on my iPad, and then I was able to delete the second page, and then I emailed it to myself, and then I downloaded it into Pattern Keeper again, and then, so it's all good. So I've got it in there for when I'm ready to stitch it. When that will be, we're not sure yet, but anyway, I was very excited that that was part of my gift. So thank you very much, Nicole. That was a lot of fun. So yeah, it was a fun way if you ever want to do a gift exchange with a friend, to do shopping at 123 Stitch and then have it mailed directly to the person. And I really liked having the little guidelines that we had to follow, so that you know, made it fun to try and be creative and find things to fit that stuff. So yeah, so that was my happy mail. It made me very happy indeed. So let's go to what I've been sewing. I thought it'd be fun to share with you. I made a gift for my mother-in-law for Christmas. That it's not something that I make and sell in my shop, but my mother-in-law is a big stitcher, so I decided to make her a knitting bag. So this is with some of my French General fabric that I had on hand. Just did a little patchwork. And it's got the drawstrings at the top. And I boxed the bottom so it sits on the ground. So yeah, so I made that for her for Christmas. There's the lining fabric, and I put a couple of fun balls of yarn in there for her to play with. Isn't that one cool? I don't do a lot of knitting myself, but she knits every day just like I cross stitch every day. So so the reason I have this was we went to have Christmas with my husband's family, and we dropped my mother-in-law off at home, and they forgot to take her gift out of the back of the car. We got home and it's like, oh, we still have her gift. And she lives about half an hour away from us, so we just haven't got back there to re-gift it to her. So I thought, oh, well, it's still here. I'll share it with my friends. So that's sort of what I've been sewing, kind of thing. So last thing is I'm just going to talk a little bit about my plans for next month. So my weekly WIPs that I'm going to be working on next month, or starting Monday. Like, I'm going week to week. So even though tomorrow is February 1st, I'm not going to start my first project till Monday. I should mention then too, because I finished tiered tray yesterday, I did decide to go ahead, and I did have a new start, but it's for an exchange, so it doesn't count technically for what I'm kind of doing this year, which again, I kind of glossed over that too. So I did have 2 finishes, right? I finished the DMC color card, and I finished Christmas tiered tray. And I sort of told myself, if I have 2 finishes, I can have 1 new start. But I'm not going to do that right now. Again, I'm feeling more, I want to get things finished as opposed to starting new things. So I'm just going to bank that new start that I might use when I'm at a retreat or for my birthday or whatever, but I'll just set it aside. And as I say, I did have a new start yesterday, but it's for an exchange piece, so it doesn't count towards those new starts, if that makes sense. I don't know, maybe that's completely confusing, but anyway. So yeah, I'm just going to work on that exchange piece and or the Weimaraner until Monday. But on Monday, my next WIP in my list is spray paint that I will be starting and getting some work done on it the next week. And spray paint is another Artisy chart featuring the artwork of CJ Lotta. So the next one that I am going to work on after that will be the Merezhka kit that I have called Horses. I'm really excited to get back to that one. I got to a good stopping point when I finished the Dandelion, but now I'm excited to put more sort of into the main full coverage part of that. And then the week after that is another, they're pretty much all semi full coverage charts this month. The next one is going to be White Horse, which is another digital pattern that I got off of Etsy that I'm doing on an 18 count Aida that didn't get a whole lot of work in the last couple years. So I'm looking forward to really dedicating some time to it and making some progress on it. It's a beautiful image. And then the last one I'll be working on in February is another full coverage pattern from an Etsy shop called Daisies, which is bright and beautiful colors, and will probably be a welcome a welcome color palette to stitch with in February. We've been having a very, 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 very snowy winter. I haven't seen snow like this for a long time. A lot of storms. I think in January the kids missed like 19 days of school because the buses don't run when the weather's not great around here. So that's when I heard that statistics, that was on like the 27th of January. So 27 days, they've missed 19, and there's weekends and stuff in there too. So I don't know how many days they actually did go to school, but so yeah, there's a lot of snow. If you saw my picture at the beginning of the intro to the video, it sort of shows what it looks like out in my backyard. But yeah, so stitching on daisies might be a welcome change in color palette later this month. So and then we have the WIPGO for February. So I'll show you my WIPGO board here. So here's my Count Your Blessings that I colored off. Here are my Lizzie Kate seasons. So I did complete the winter and fall were the ones that were called. So I did those, but I also did spring and summer. So I've just sort of outlined the box to indicate that I've completed it, but it hasn't been called yet. So, and then for this month, Jessie called 7 and 8. So 7 is Shooting Stars and 8 is the Friend Stitch mini sampler. And I meant to bring those to show you, so I'm going to pause just for a second and go grab those. Okay, so the first one called was number 7, which on my WIPGO board is Shooting Stars, which is a pattern that I got through the Silk Stitching app. You can't see it, but those stars actually have some gold metallic in them to make them sparkly, but it never shows up in the video. So I was trying to decide how I wanted to finish this. I do put that, I have put those ideas like on my board. So I've got frame / soft finish. So I wasn't sure if I would just turn it into like a wall hanging, like a soft wall hanging, whether I put it in a frame. At one point I had thought about making it into a project bag. So that is still to be decided. So come back next month to see, number 1, do I actually fully finish it? And number 2, how do I fully finish it? But yeah, so that is Shooting Stars. And then the other one, number 8, is the Friend Stitch mini sampler. So I have mentioned in the past that I did participate in one of the Friend Stitch events, which is like an online retreat, I guess, a virtual retreat. It was the second year that they did it, so it was a fall themed one. So they sent us a pattern that we were supposed to pre-stitch. So this is the little sampler that we stitched. And then during the live event, there was a finishing tutorial that showed you how to finish it. And they actually gave us the whole kit to finish it. So there's like this really cool backing board. And obviously all the instructions, there's some foam backing, there's some pom-pom trim, there's a piece of mat board. So everything is there. So that should be a pretty easy finish. At least like no decision making, right? It's all right there. So, so yeah, so that's the other one. So yeah, so come back next month if you want to see how I did with my fully finishing. But as I said, we're off to a pretty good start. So, so yeah, I think that is everything that I have to share today. Thank you so much, everybody, for stopping by. and spending a little bit of time with me and letting me talk about my stitching. And I hope the February comes along and treats you well. And I will see you next time. Until then.